G'day, I'm Pete Seligman. There are a growing number of people thinking about buying a business in this region, but it can be hard to see what that actually looks like. So to help bring one part of that process to life, I've teamed up with my mates Jason Andrew and James Frank to throw some businesses on the table and share our raw thoughts on each. This is ETA Downunder. We hope you enjoy it.
All right. So what we'll do is I've got 6. I'll quickly run through 6 and then you've got to pick one and then we'll go deeper, all right? Yeah. So what do we got? A vertically integrated pallets business.
Ooh.
Revenue 5.6 million. Got a high-end home body and gift business for 4.2 million in revenue.
Their retail business, yeah.
That's right up your alley, Jason.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
I've got a forklift sales and rental solutions business, 12 million in revenue.
Not bad.
Engineering business, Southeast Queensland, almost 7 million in revenue. This looks like, fab shop.
Yeah.
This one looks like fun.
Oh.
Outdoor gear.
Okay.
Online footprint.
Another retailer.
Quite low earnings margin. Yeah. So
must be a drop shipper of some sort.
Yeah. And then leaders in civil aviation. Yeah. I did also like this one, James. I can see
yellow goods.
There's some guys in 5 years. Yeah. There's some guys in 5 years and there's some yellow kit there. So what do you reckon we jump into first? Do you reckon we...
I like the pallets. I like pallets. Only because I've actually looked at. I've got an edge. I've studied brambles in the past, so
here we go.
I'm personally curious about the pallet business.
All right, okay. Let's jump into pallets now. I'll scroll down. We'll start with just the high level first, and then we'll get into the highlights. So, 5.6 of revenue, 1.9 of earnings. That's quite strong.
So 30%.
Timber packaging industry, secure a leading timber packaging business with unmatched growth prospects. Yeah, I love that.
All capitalized, unmatched.
No one else could match the growth prospects of this pallet business. It does boast impressive profitability. I've got to agree with that.
That's good. Yeah.
Customer loyalty. So before we go down, what do you reckon about pallet businesses? So initial thoughts.
I think first I want to understand, is it manufacturing and selling pallets or are they renting them? So I know Brambles, they're actually one of the I think they are the world's largest pallet business and homegrown in Australia. Really interesting backstory. But they're the CHEP. CHEP is Brambles, the same company, but the blue pallets that you see floating around most warehouses, that's a rental model, and people or businesses hire those pallets per day. I don't know does it say whether this is a rental model or are they actually selling the pallets directly to the users?
I think they're just a sale, aren't they? Manufacturing sale.
Because it says it's got its own timber supply and mill.
Yeah. So they must be selling it directly.
That's an interesting angle there, Jason, in terms of, do you go into your rental business of pallets?
Yeah. Well, it's
maybe
funny
that's the unmatched growth prospect.
Potentially, I think so. CHEP's business model is that, hey, don't use they call it whitewood. Don't use these crappy whitewood pallets, which I assume it's pine or whether these guys are making theirs from. CHEP is like the blue standard, the gold standard of pallets. And apparently, I've heard that a lot of forklift drivers and warehouse people actually compete, they fight over the blue pallets because they love them. They reckon they're much better.
There's a whole thing.
There's a whole thing. There is a thing about pallets. I'm not aware. I'm not a high vis guy, but I've heard stories.
We need to get Rob on this, given that he owns a forklift training business, and ask him for some of his forklift trainers to tell us whether or not there are primo pallets in terms of lifting.
What's the verdict? But I know from a business model perspective, Brambles, their margins are fairly average. Their biggest issue, they're a rental fleet, right? So they're manufacturing pallets. They then rent them out. The issue with pallets is imagine tracking, I think probably hundreds of millions or at least billions of pallets floating around the world. Imagine tracking that with no GPS tags. It's literally very, very old. There's been no innovation in the pallet industry since World War II. And that's where pallets were invented, basically, to help the Allies kind of shift ammunition and supplies around the globe. So there's been no innovation. I think from a rental perspective, I didn't like it because the maintenance capex of pallets is actually really high. So pallets get broken, they get lost, they get damaged, and Brambles have giant manufacturing facilities all around the world too. Literally, there's dudes I've seen YouTube videos. These guys literally smashing pallets and got staple guns sticking them back together. I think if you're selling pallets, that's a really interesting thing because knowing that they do break, they do get damaged. There's an element of like recurring revenue there, right?
There is a company, and I can't remember the name, that has invented the GPS tracker for a pallet.
Yeah, I know them.
Brambles or CHEP are like a liquidator's nightmare because they've got the GSA over the company, and they say, "Oh, you've got 20,000 pallets. You owe us $20,000. 20,000 pallets worth of revenue or whatever it is." So I think you're right. I'm digging this because naturally it's a product that breaks, and logistics is a big issue at the moment. But I think that I think unmatched growth potential is questionable. I think there is a natural ceiling.
If it was me, it's in New South Wales. So if it was me, I would definitely be going down the build and sell route in terms of the pallets. If I think about sort of some of my businesses, when they were smaller, they used to make their own pallets.
Really?
We'd have something that we have to ship out of the warehouse, and so we'd just knock up a pallet. Or there might be something that was kind of a bit of a funny shape, like if you think about SRO and building belt scales and that kind of stuff, that'd be a funny shape. And so we'd actually just have timber stores in the warehouse, like, 4x2 and all that kind of stuff, and then build the thing that we were going to ship, build the pallet around it, and then fork it up onto the truck. But now we're in a situation where we'll actually go and buy the pallets to then do the shipping with. But we're not doing it on a rental model because we're not doing it in terms of we're thinking we get it back, or we're thinking that it will go into that kind of whole kind of circular kind of CHEP process. We're literally building it as almost like a consumable cost to the fact that we need to make something and ship it. And so we outsource it to pallet builders, probably like this kind of guy.
Probably these guys,
Yeah, and so if you could, tap yourself into that, I mean, if these guys in New South Wales, I'm guessing they're probably going to be somewhere in Western Sydney. Although it does say
Central West.
Oh, where's
Central West?
Oh, Central West Timber Country. Interesting.
Yeah. It's a regional play.
Right. So then the next option is to think about how you open up like another site that takes your vertically integrated supply and puts something in around all that industrial space, and then pitch yourself to be, because you can build your standard pallets, right?
Yeah.
But then you could also do custom pallets. Given that how you could improve that whole customer onboarding process, then you could start to say, when you need custom pallets, like, here's the process you go through, and we spit out custom pallets for you.
What's a pallet cost you, Pete? from the SRO days?
Now you're asking me questions. I need to get Nick on now.
Probably $100.
$20, $20 or $100.
$100. $100.
Well, for 5.8 million, 5.6 million at the top line,
it's a shed load of pallets.
Yeah, it's quite a lot, isn't it?
That is a shed load of pallets. Yeah.
They probably do have a big shed.
I like this business. I like it a lot, actually. I'm a big fan. I like it's regional, and there's a little thing that says under management, owner lives interstate.
Yeah.
So I reckon there's a fair chance I'm logging on to Resolve after this and putting an expression of interest in.
Yeah. I'd love to see what the trajectory looks like over the last 3 or 4 years. Like, is this just been a sudden peak, or is it one of those ones that's just been churning it out? So,
there's no pricing, is there? They haven't whacked the pricing.
No, not that I can see. I can't see there's a price in there at the moment. So
how much would you offer? All right, Pete. Pete, James, you see this, you're really interested by the pallet business. Like throw a number out there. How would you price this thing?
Well, I looked at your post this morning on LinkedIn. I know exactly how to price this business. I just multiply it by 3, don't I?
Pretty much.
I feel like I probably wouldn't be going in with a starting number of 3. It might have a headline at that kind of level, but it probably is more in the 2s. I mean, it's still at 5 million of revenue. It's still not like really turning over heaps. It's got great margin, but that's probably driven more by a lack of overhead than sufficient GM. Yeah. So you'll probably find that earnings will drop in your first 12 months if your revenue doesn't massively increase. And like I said, I would also like to see the trajectory. But if I had to lob in a number just purely based on this, it'd probably be around the kind of 2.5-ish times, I reckon, at this point.
I reckon so. I think forecasts are futile. So I'm looking for an FY20 multiple.
Yeah, right.
And the reason is I want the normalized pre-COVID. Yeah. I want to see what this business did prior to getting the kind of e-com boom. And I reckon that's the multiple that I'll drop 3 on.
Yeah, right.
That's a good point. I think that being said, though, we also saw lumber prices like escalate the same kind of trajectory as the COVID boom. So commodity prices are jacked up as well. So I think the question I'd be asking is like, what's the pricing power? Like, have they obviously timber prices jacked up? It looks like it's manufactured here, so it's local.
Yeah, so I don't know. They're milling. So if they're milling, they're controlling the supply side.
Yeah. So that's great. So they're less exposed to commodity prices, which I really like. I guess you've almost got 2 businesses within one, right? Like, if they're milling it,
That was going to be my next point. Was I'd also like to understand the complexity of the operations.
Yeah.
If it's like super complex because of that vertical integration, that's not a downside, but it does change the way you think about the pricing because it's just that much more to kind of pick up and understand.
Definitely.
Yeah. It's probably about that number. I mean. Yeah. If the owner's living interstate, you think about the owner dynamics. So what? They're almost at 2 million of earnings. So they're almost at kind of $5 to $6 million worth of EV. Who knows if they got any debt, but they're probably thinking if they can walk away with $5 million, they're not doing too badly at that point, really.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, why I like businesses like this is, I sort of think about like the barnacle and the whale type thing. Like I really like businesses that provide a very small fraction of the supply chain, but a necessary one. And these guys, like they're riding, logistics isn't going away as a business, right? Like forever, rise of e-commerce, people are shipping more and more shit across Australia, globally. The humble pallet will never go away. Yes, we might explore plastics in the future, but plastics are, again, from the research I did, 5 times more expensive to manufacture than wooden ones. So like pallets aren't going away. They've been around for decades. They're going to be around for decades. And this is a consumable product. They break, they get damaged. They need to replace. So yeah, I really like it.
Yeah.
I just don't have to operate it, that's all.
No, we'll find someone else to do that.
Exactly. We'll find a searcher out there somewhere, right?
Yeah, there's someone out there that will drop in for us. Yeah, right. All right. Well, I'll make sure I click the learn more button on that one. So that sounds good. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm keen on that one, Pete. Yep. No, you can send it my way.
How good's that? I think this is super fun.
It's really fun.
Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to learn more, please hit us up on LinkedIn. You can find all 3 of our profiles in the show notes below. And stay tuned for the next episode.